Hi everyone and welcome back on the Adobe Live show. We will be live now with our next guest, Jessica Moon. Hey, Jessica, good to see you back.
Oh, thank you for welcoming me back.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so Jessica, if you want to introduce yourself maybe.
Sure. So for those of you guys who are curious about me, my name is Jessica Moon and I am a UX designer in a company called ServiceNow. And I have been doing this with Michael and Paul a bit for a little bit, so it's fun to come back and work some XD magic. So
awesome. So yeah, she will be working in Adobe XD, and the concept of the week is that all our guests are working on the same brief, fictional conference for creative people, and the main theme, the main core value of the conference is create and share, or this concept of open designs, such as the open source concept in the developer community, but this one it will be like open design, so designers talking to designers. And we started the day with James Curran, who is working on an animated pen brush, who will open a curtain in a laptop, in After Effects. We will see what will happen. Kristine, she was just live with us, working live on the identity, and she's still around, okay? She will just explain.
She's still around right there.
Yeah, she's still around. She will explain. So she found the name. She found the name, and she, I think, found a great logo. So we will talk about it and see how we can reuse it in the design. And Jessica will work on an app. We will explain which one. And Tracy will join us at the end of the day for an illustration. And this is the first day, so you will be back tomorrow and also on Thursday to continue working on this concept.
Yep.
Okay, so where is the graphic designer? Maybe we need a real-time brief now.
Hey, here I am.
Here we go.
Okay, yeah, hold on. All right, so.
So you shared with us a Creative Cloud library.
Yes, I did.
If we can show Jessica a screen maybe.
Yes. So I just dragged
Jessica.
some of the designs in there. Actually, just one. The logo right now, which is where I'm working on, and also the color palette. So this I'll probably update a little bit over time, and the nice thing is that since that's a smart object, it should update for you when you're working. So I have one option, and then I also have another option that I'm looking at. This one is with color, so let me just drag this one in there right now.
So right now, Kristine is putting it into Creative Cloud libraries.
Jessica is the pro. I don't have to host anymore.
Oh, so behind the scenes, before we actually got on, we put together a library. Yep. And so this is shared between her and me. And so she just popped this sucker in, which is awesome. Oops, head move. There we go. And so you're kind of deciding between the two.
I'm still finessing between, well, I'm deciding between the two for sure.
Okay.
But probably a little bit of finessing as well.
Okay. Maybe, Jessica, we can work with the two proposals.
Yeah.
See what I mean? And then tomorrow we will ask Kristine,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds great.
Yep. Shows and
Cool.
But at least now we have it gives you the energy of the D. You have
this kind of like tension between the two, and like the overlap. It means I can play with some transparency.
Totally, yeah.
Which will be really nice. And then.
And I have an extended palette too. If you want, I can add that in there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes, would love it.
I was adding in. I'll just drop in some more colors.
Yeah, because with libraries you can share colors, assets, and I think it's a great start. Cool. And we have a name for the conference, which is a plus.
Is it design? It's designer to
designer.
Designer to designer.
So with the colon, that's how it's going to be when you talk about it. But with the hashtag, it'll be D2D.
Oh, good, cool.
Because you can't use a colon in a hashtag. So.
Yeah. Oh,
cool.
Well, yeah. Good to know.
Yeah, so I will drop the rest of that in there as I sit over there.
Okay, cool.
And I'll let you go.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks,
so much.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Okay, Jessica, so I think we have something to start.
Yeah, so, when we're thinking about this conference, so especially for folks who are new to this specific stream right now and didn't tune in for the earlier ones, we're basically creating a sort of faux conference that really celebrates collaboration, really trying to promote collaboration and sharing in the design community. Developers have a very awesome ethos around open source, very, very knowledge sharing centric, very awesome. And so we want to make a faux conference that will faux promote this. And maybe someday be real. But with that being said, so Kristine really handled a lot of the branding, and what I'm going to do is work on the experience that will be for conference attendees who want to use their mobile phone to basically navigate through. I'm kind of dictating 2 days. Nobody decided the timeline, right? The fake timeline. I'm making the timeline.
Yeah, you're
Great.
making the timeline.
Okay, cool. So, and then I don't know if we can look at the camera sketchy thing. All right, cool. So I kind of broke down a fake version of what this conference's schedule is going to look like, just for context. And so, how does this work? All right, here we go. So essentially, whether you pre-check in or whether you show up and check in, since this is a bleeding edge, cutting, awesome conference, we're going to have check-ins through iPads. We'll make a little iPad experience there, just 2 seconds, similar to what you see in the latest hotels and airport kind of check-in experiences. And then from there, obviously, the first thing that everybody wants is to collect their swag, because swag is awesome. And I think Kristine's actually going to work on some of that swag, right? Maybe? I don't know. But we'll have some swag. And then from there...
They're asking you if you can increase the size, the font
increase
size.
my chicken scratch.
The font size, and maybe switch to a
bold, legible,
a bold typeface.
legible type. Yeah, I know. Ryan is in the car, so I'll make it more legible tomorrow. And so from the swag, everybody picks up their swag. They're gonna probably lounge around because you want to get to the conference a bit early. And so, honestly, in my head when I was thinking about this, I was actually thinking of Max, and I was thinking about the fact that there's a huge like sponsor vendor space where you can go to booths, and then there's like a whole lounging area and activity area. So that was kind of what I was thinking for the space, the environmental space. And then from there, we have a 2-day conference. So this is going to be 2 days. It's going to be your typical, has some sessions in the morning, has some sessions in the afternoon, has some breaks, and then a long lunch. And so day one's going to be morning session, a break, morning session, and then a break that this conference doesn't pay for your lunch. You're going to have to go out. It's part of the spirit, though. You're going to actually socialize with other folks, networking, right? So it's actually a bit more intimate in that you get to kind of find your own clusters of friends and work on building relationships. And then from there, day one will end with a keynote, right? The rest of the afternoon. And then there's this killer party that's really, really awesome. And then from there, the next day, day two, is just session, break, session, long break, session, break, session, and then a farewell cocktail / mingler. So as you're leaving the city of, where is this conference going to be at? City of...
You decide.
San Diego, which is where I'm from, as far as I can remember. City of San Diego, you're changing, LinkedIn and emails, and hey, let's collaborate on the next project. And then there will maybe, depending on how fast we move these next 2 days, be a little recap part to the app. Cool?
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good. So also invite you to create and share. Today we have a daily challenge and one different topic every day. Today we invite you to create the badge of the conference, and we share with you a free template available on Adobe Stock. If you want to understand how to participate and get this template, everything is in the challenge tab. So if you go on behance.net/live, you have the chat, info, and challenge tab. And we are looking forward to looking at these badges, especially since now we have a name, so you can reuse the name and maybe try to recreate the logo based on Kristine's work. And at the end of the show, I will ask you to review what they have created and pick the one you want to reward. Okay?
Very cool.
Make sense?
Awesome.
Okay. And we will also have some random giveaways during the show related to Adobe XD and posters. So stay tuned to be eligible and get a chance to win one of the giveaways. Just be active in the chat, say hi, let us know where you're from, and ask all the questions you want to our guest, Jessica.
Cool.
Okay, so
I think what I'll start with is just kind of recapping. So I was experimenting.
We were experimenting.
I was experimenting a little bit. So for those of you guys who aren't familiar with CC Libraries, which is really, really important actually for this event, since we've got 4 designers who are kind of stringing together an experience. I started actually by just playing with what this does, because there's been some recent updates in XD. Yeah. And so what you guys just saw in this screen when we were looking at Kristine's branding work is she actually popped in to here some graphics. And so in this folder that's shared, oops, I hit the wrong button. No. So in here, she actually popped in some colors, some hexes to look at. She popped in these 2 sort of AI files. Actually, she's continuing to pop in files. Just saw a yellow dot there. It's live collaboration. And so, this is really awesome to have. And if you wanted to, you set up a library and then you can just add collaborators. And then from there, you can share that work in real time. And the reason why this is important is because today we're actually going to be working out of XD. And so leveraging those color palettes to make our own kind of experience here. The second thing that I was realizing that I had fun with is Stock. So on Adobe Stock, this is a recent update for those of you guys who are really into the Adobe XD part. So I was like, I need to find some conference pictures, if I could spell it, conference pics. And so I was like, okay, at some point I'm going to want to play with some filler people looking like they're engaged and having fun. And so one of the neat things about how this works with XD is, let's see, what's a cool photo? They're all of microphones. Let's try Workshop. Maybe that's more organic.
Yeah, more creative.
More organic, yeah. More real. This is a very
good point.
Not a very big, fancy suit and tie conference. There's a bunch of designers are going here. And
all types of workshops.
Yeah, well, if anybody on the chat finds a really awesome picture that denotes collaboration with designers that looks a little bit real, that doesn't look like they're in a woodworking shop.
Maybe you can add designers. Who knows? As a hashtag, workshop designers.
Let's see. All right, third time's a charm. Oh look, post-it notes.
Getting better.
Design thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna pick one for the sake of the fact that this isn't the let's look at photos show, but I am being a little picky, I know. So that works. Okay. So you pick an image in Stock. Click.
Yeah,
and then from here, so for those of you guys who like to use these stock photos, you could obviously save it directly to your computer, but if you have a library set up, so this D2D is what we have set up, you can click on that, and from there, please wait, it's saved, and from there you'll be able to see,
this will sync.
Here, it'll sync, so this guy is going to take a moment to let us know that it is being synced, but while we wait, oh wait, there we go. Ta-da!
This is coming.
Well, still loading. And...
Okay, I just got it on my side, so...
Okay.
You will get it soon.
My internet's a little bit slower.
Can you roll over this icon just to check?
No. It's...
No, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Ta-da! And so, it's a nice feature because you can just go from a browse experience, if we're looking around for a lot of photos that we just want to throw into a library, we're not sure what we want to experiment with. This is really neat. So that way when you take this image, you can just go ahead and use it. It was huge. Huge. And the other great part is I'm not really the photo editor here. Michael is. And so this is now in this awesome collaborative environment, and maybe I want this to be black and white.
Should we try the magic trick?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a magic trick prepared.
Okay, you just prepared it like this. So here I have Photoshop open. So the good news is that I could be in Paris, I could be in here, or I could be in San Francisco and you in San Diego. We don't have to be in the same place. And I've just also received this picture. So I will double click on the picture. It has been licensed. We need a team license. Good job. Can you drag and drop the other one?
Yes. Let me, all right.
Because we licensed the other one for the team.
This one?
Or maybe drag and drop it in XD. No, in XD we will use the other picture.
Oh, okay, got it. Let me go to that's this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
After I will explain what happened.
Yeah.
So, this one.
Oh, this one? Got it.
Okay.
So, here's that image.
Here we go. Sorry, so I was showing on Jessica's screen. So now she's using this image. Okay, if you zoom in.
Oh, geez. There we go. Ta-da.
There we go. And I go back in Photoshop. And we're working on this image, but the instance is in the cloud. And let's make it turn black and white. This. Do it more like
a little more hipster?
Yeah, hipster, vintage, curvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks so happy. Yeah, you can place a logo on top.
Yep.
Okay, I will just save, and it should sync in the cloud and come back. If we go back to Jessica's computer.
Well,
okay.
And whoa,
boom. Whoa,
right
just in time.
Second. So
that's this new workflow. So today we're with this update of XD. You can do it with picture, but the team is also working on improving the behavior of credit card libraries, and very soon you will be able to do much more. I cannot reveal what's going. But if you watch actually Adobe Live next week, so next week we will be live from Berlin at the Awards conference, which is a big web and UX design conference. And yeah, you might be able to see some new stuff. So stay tuned next week if you want to see some awesome features coming in XD.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, let's get cracking. So I'm going to make a new file. So I guess I can explain in detail a little bit of this. So since we're working on two different sort of experiences, let's start with the iPad first. And for those of you who are not familiar with this panel, some great things, especially if you don't know how to use XD, I highly recommend you do this tutorial. I'll just open it up for 2 seconds so you can see. It's a kind of dog-fooded sort of tutorial in XD to learn how to use XD. And it teaches you how to basically go from concept to prototype. So I recommend you give that a try if you're new. So we're going to go ahead and open up an iPad experience because we're going to check in. I'm going to rename this iPad to check-in. And this is going to be the sort of screen that our users are going to arrive at in the first touch point. You got to San Diego. You were at the, what is that place called? The convention center in San Diego. So you have arrived at the conference area, and then you see these sort of iPads on these stands, and there's large banner somewhere that maybe Kristine will make or maybe not on her spare time that says check in here. And so from here, what we want to do is we want to think about the fact that there's going to be a logo. So let's see. Since this is a very agile sort of approach that we're taking with the design, we're going to use a lot of placeholders today. And as everything comes together, we're going to set up the XD file in a way that will basically take in those assets very naturally.
Awesome.
So for example, Kristine is still working on the logo. And so for now, what I want to do is just indicate as a placeholder here that there is going to be
Can you add more contrast?
Yes. This happened last time. I should know this by now.
There we go.
There. So, and kind of when I make wires in XD, I like to also, for those who are UXers, a typical thing you see for placeholders is actually, I'm using the line tool. Oh, I should say shortcuts. L for line. All of the shortcuts in XD are very intuitive to what you would call them. So rectangle is R, ellipse is E, line is L, P is pen. So I'm going to use the line tool here. Put it at 20% opacity. I used a shortcut for that, so hit 2, and that got you 20. And then I'm going to make another line, and so for our UXers who are watching, basically going to group that and make that a little placeholder box. So we're making a wireframe right now in XD.
Okay.
I'm also actually going to go ahead and turn that up, Command-K, which puts that as a symbol, which is pretty fun. So that way, if I ever wanted to go ahead and make another one of these little cool boxes, I now have a permanent version I can use over and over and over again. So logo's gonna go here. So when Kristine is done, it'll be plopped here. And then I think in general, we are gonna do a fancy pants sort of background image. And so I'm gonna go ahead and create a very subtle reminder of that. And don't worry about the contrast because, oh look, it's teaching me. Adobe XD teaches you how to use shortcuts as you go.
Yeah.
Cool. So I actually went ahead and made this black, and the reason why is because in XD, it's super simple to plop in an image of your choice into an object. And so, for example, if I were just looking up cats, I always go to cats, and I wanted to take...
You want to see something cool?
Okay.
Yeah, you go on Stock. Search for cats, and you can directly drag and drop the result in the placeholder.
Very lovely. Wait, like this cat? Oh, that's such a cute cat. And you're saying I could just drag him in? Do I put him on desktop?
Or even this one. You drag and drop directly in XD on the placeholder.
Oh, that's.
So if you open them side to side.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Let's move this window here. So if I bring him here, he's so cute. I'm gonna do this. Not enough.
There we go.
All right. Oh, it works. Beautiful. Oh, he's really rastery though, but it works.
Yeah, because this is we're using the preview.
This is true. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, but to that point, I'm thinking that this check-in experience is gonna have some cute little not an animal. It's not going to have an animal. It's going to have something in the background that's going to give a little bit more texture and interesting sort of experience. So just kind of showing off that feature a little bit. But for now, we're going to make it a sort of a background, and then I'm going to lock it because when you have really big objects on a artboard, they kind of get in the way since most of the interactions in XD are sort of click on target sort of interactions. And so I don't want to accidentally click that background, so I hit Command L. You can kind of notice right there, there's a little lock. Actually, I zoomed in, but the lock looks the same size. But the lock indicates basically that this object is now locked. And in case you're curious, from a panels sort of standpoint, the artboards, I think I hit Command Shift Y. Yes. Command Y reveals the artboards and all the layers within. So this is the object that I just locked, and you can see it right there. It says rectangle. I'm going to just call it BG so I remember. And then you can actually either unlock it from here, unlock it by double-clicking that, and then turn it on and off, yada, yada, yada. So I'll just toggle it off for now. I just wanted it as a placeholder, knowing that we're going to put a really awesome image in it later.
Right.
So from here, let's go ahead and make a kind of box that sort of shows the check-in. We're going to want to have the area for the user to put their name in. And because I was thinking about what the second thing would be, but I think what we'll do is, so when you register for a conference, you usually get an email confirmation. You've already paid for it or your company's paid for it. And so in the confirmation of this conference, there's going to be a string that's it's like 4 letters, 5 letters that
like
identifies you.
Okay.
Yep. And so what we'll have is the label of maybe the last name. I was actually just thinking of my check-in experience to the flight that I just had. So, so last name here, and here's the label, and we're going to make it, this is just the wireframe, so let's just make it not 1214. And then we're going to have a second label right here. I was holding down Option, by the way, to drag elements and copy them over quickly. And this is going to say confirmation code. And so, and let's just double check that the touch target for this area, since it's going to be a touch device, is good. So on the PI right here, or property inspector, you have the width and the height and the X and the Y value, as well as the rotation. And later on when we play with icons and images, we can talk about how the rotation matters. It's pretty cool how they actually code that in. The preview is if you put the cat in upright and you've rotated the object, then it'll remember actually that rotation and the cat will go sideways, which is really awesome. So anyway, 2 input fields is going to go here, and from there, let's go ahead and have a button that is maybe something like that, and no border actually. So this button will say login. So this is interesting. Whenever I use this feature in XD, I think it's so cool and weird. So right now, this is a, what are we labeling it in this program? We're calling it point text. Cool. Point text versus area text.
Oh, yeah.
So
very good feature.
And so the area text just recently came out a couple months ago. Point text is by default left aligned. And so when you're making buttons, you hardly ever have a situation where you're left aligning the text on a button. You're usually center aligning it, right? And so it's interesting. Right now I could center align it, and then if I kept typing log in now, it kind of does a regular left align. We're getting really nerdy here. But if you center it, in past programs I've used, just other applications, it moves the whole object.
Oh, yeah.
But in this case,
if I hit
if I hit center, it actually doesn't move the object at all. It just stays, and then it maintains centered
the coordinates.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff is just really convenient when you're producing a lot of little elements in an experience. It goes a long way. So I always think that's such an interesting thing. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and make sure this is centered. I'm going to use these. They're shortcuts that I don't remember for these two. And then combine them. And so I use Command G. And now I've got a button group. So button, generic button. So let's see. Let's actually go ahead and round this. So in XD, you have 2 ways of rounding objects like rectangles. And the first one is just in the PI, you can actually go here, default to rounded, and add a radius, let's say 10. And if you look at this, you've got a nice round radius. Now, if you want to do some cool, innovative rounded corner thing where you have 0, 10, 10, 0, 10, and you've got like this, I don't know what it's called. What is that called? Little leaf sort of thing. You can basically customize each rounded corner however you want.
Yeah.
So, but we're not going to do that. We're not that innovative here. We're going to just keep it, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Cool. And so now we have a button. One thing about wireframes is that you really don't want them to be very complex, especially when it comes to the nuances of the colors you're using. And so if you notice in this wireframe, we've got a stroke color, we have a placeholder background color, we have a button color, we have text. These are all, if you were to select them all and hit, if you were to select them all and hit color, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get four grays.
That's
and,
right. I mean, it's automatic sampler.
Automatic sampler, which is good, but a wireframe really ought not to be so complex. And so one thing is just, did you know that?
Stay tuned. We do our first giveaway in 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
But it's very easy. Like for this one, you just have to be active in the chat. So if you're just watching, make sure to sign in on behance.net/live and say something in the chat, where you're from, ask a question to Jessica. Someone was mentioning, she used to work for Telepathy. It's an agency.
Yes.
It's an awesome agency. Yeah, so Telepathy got acquired.
Yeah,
so that's why now you're working for
ServiceNow.
Yep, ServiceNow. But that's,
doing the same UX work, but for enterprise scale, which is really awesome, very complex, very challenging. Cool. So with that being said, in Adobe XD, if you want to add a bunch of colors to this thingy that maybe half of you don't know about yet, the assets panel, you can just hit the plus button and it will add them all. But as you can see, terrible designer here, too many grays. And so I'm going to go ahead and actually denote a gray that I want to use, which is this gray. I like it. I don't really like it, but I'll like it right now. And hit the plus button there. So now we have a global color. Now what, pray you, does this global color do? So I'm going to go ahead and click this darker gray. And I'm going to hit this color button. And what this does is it now creates the same color here. Now cool, that's just, I applied a color. But the real kind of secret sauce here is this. So if I want to take these two, input boxes, and I want the actual stroke to also be the same color, if you really look, you'll see it's like a darker default color for XD. I can go in here, and I can right-click on this, and I could hit Apply as Border, which is pretty sweet. But wait, we're not done yet. The real magic is actually this. So assets have colors, have character styles. They are global within this application. And so what that means is if I change my mind one day and decide that this gray was way too subtle for, let's say, contrast, you can actually go in and edit it and make it darker, and it applies to everything that has been touched by that color. So,
and it would be the case also if you had 100 artboards using the same color. So it's not only for this artboard, it could be on the final project with 25 screens, and it would change the color everywhere.
And so it's pretty, it's pretty awesome just at this one scale. But to Michael's point, the biggest payoff of this experience is when you have, flows upon flows upon flow in one application, and you're like, shoot, like the branding team, for example, is still working on the palette, which is gonna happen, and they changed it, and then bam, you can change that color. So it's pretty awesome. And so if this is a wireframe, so we don't care too much about that point, but this would be that. User can check in, last name, first name, and actually let's go ahead and do this with type as well, since we're on the assets panel. So let's go ahead and make these 16 so they're pretty legible on an iPad experience.
And be very active in the chat. You know what we will give away?
Socks?
The winter Adobe XD socks. Winter edition. With the XD logo.
Wait, what is the summer edition?
To become a better designer. For summer, I don't know what they will find. Maybe a bath suit. I don't know. We'll see. But we give away the socks and the XD sketchbook.
Oh.
Where you can design, prototype, share, and learn.
Oh, beautiful.
Infinite loop.
Yep.
Okay, so say something in the chat. We will pick someone. Be active. Put your glasses on.
My feet are
socks. Okay.
The magic socks. That's all. Yeah, I think they're magic too.
I tricked you, Francisco. Huh? You didn't see that coming.
Very cool.
Okay, so they will.
Maybe it's whoever writes the word socks.
So the Adobe Live team. So we have a script that will pick someone who's active in the chat, and we will receive the name of the winner with the new digital technology.
Beautiful.
You will see.
Awesome.
It's a high tech. Because we're in the Silicon Valley, so you will see very high-tech technology to receive the name of the winner. You will
It's
be
just
impressed.
random. It's basically a time period, and then bam, someone gets it.
Yeah, so it takes like during these minutes, like who is active in the chat and
Okay.
pick someone. Yeah,
Okay, very cool.
yeah. Thanks to the Behance team, by the way, for developing this feature.
All right, so are we gonna wait for the person, or should I keep going?
No, you can keep going.
Okay. I had mentioned the colors, but I'm also going to mention character styles. So for now, we're just going to stick to Helvetica since it's default to XD. And I'm going to hit the plus button here because just like colors, you can actually adopt character styles. And this adopts everything from bold to color, bold to color to line height, actually. And so if you were to turn, we have, point text right now, but let's say we make this sucker a text area, and I were to add line height. Oops. If I could type. And then, this is kind of here. If I were to basically change the line height here and go to, let's say, 30, then, I haven't saved yet.
High-tech technology.
Analog's always best at the end of the day, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a winner for the XD Socks and a notebook, sketchbook, Adobe XD. Who is the winner, Jessica?
Sam Freeman.
Sam Freeman. Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Sorry if you didn't win, but there will be another giveaway in less than 30 minutes, so stay tuned.
And if your feet are still cold, just wear some other socks.
Yeah, just get socks. Just find
Designer to
very
design color.
silly and
D to D.
sad black socks.
Prototype.
Sam Freeman, let us know where you're from, what you're doing. Are you a UX designer? Want to know everything.
Cool. All right. So, we're going to wrap this up because the point of this is actually the mobile app, and we haven't even gotten to schedule that. We have 30 more minutes to do that. All right. So, before going into the actual phone screens, we're going to finish up the iPad experience. So, I went ahead and just duplicated the artboard. As a matter of fact, you can actually just copy the artboard by just clicking on the name and then Control-C, Control-V, and then you get right next to it this thing. And so in here, the person has actually entered their name. So we're going to make a state that shows that they're typing. So we will do Michael's last name. And it will actually be 24, just bigger. So he put his name in. He also put in his confirmation, which is D2D la. I don't know. That's just
Okay.
that is. Cool. And so, actually normally in this kind of experience, we'd go and add the keyboard. That's kind of the native GUI. And so just real quick, for those of you guys who want to leverage existing design kits, you can go to Get UI Kits under File, and then these all take you to the latest and greatest website pages that are dedicated to those design systems. So if we're making, in fact, an iOS app, and you click on that, it'll take you to this thing right here, and if you see here, you can actually download the resources for Adobe XD, and then you can pop over a fully customizable vectored keyboard. So, but I'll do that some other time. So let's just pretend that we did that. And then from here, Michael typed in his name, he got his confirmation, he hit login, and then from there, what I'm kind of imagining is that maybe this will pan up, like sort of like that, and then what will...
What's happening?
I don't think anyone can hear that, but
Yeah,
I hear
hopefully not.
rambling.
People are very happy somewhere.
And so from here, you'll have logged in successfully, and we'll see a screen here that says, thanks, Michael, for checking in. Is that how you spell it? Is it just M-A-M-I-C-A-L? Is it?
Yeah, that works, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and just take this bigger font and then add it to the
create a new
character
style.
styles, and then I'm going to just apply it so that way it's bigger, so that when
Make
we
sure
have
you're
something.
consistent.
Yep. And right now I've got no grids to work off of. So if you file create new and make something out of, let's say, one of these 3 presets, it actually comes with some grids. And so I did that for iPad. And if you hit the Command apostrophe, you can go between grid, and then as well as Command
Layout
Shift
grid.
L
Yeah.
is around the layout. So
Yeah, you have 2 types of grids, the square grid and the layout grid.
Yep, and for those who are really obsessed with grids, yes, you can actually change the actual grid size. And so if you select the artboard, which is where that will reveal in the PI those sort of specifics, you can go here and set your square size to whatever you philosophically think it should be, since the argument's still out there. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to use this to sort of align this text area tool, and it says, thanks, Michael, for checking in. Checking in. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and say that you're going to, I don't know, something will happen there. I don't know what yet. Oh. And for some folks who like to just hover over after they've checked in and they're not sure what to do next, I'm going to go ahead and I copied over this button here. If you copy an element from one artboard and you paste directly, it will remember the X and Y axis locations. So I'm going to paste it here and then say, thanks, return to main screen. So that way, for those of us who are definitely the type to just try to refresh back to the, the original screen we came from, you can hit that. Otherwise, it'll auto cycle to its own kind of timed out thing. And I don't know what's going to go there yet. If you have suggestions, I'd love to hear them. And that's it for the check-in experience. But we're not done. We want to thread it together. And so we're going to go into prototype mode, which is Control Tab for going between design and prototype, which you see here in this helper.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly just click this thing most of the time. And then from here, what we're gonna do is our home screen is the first screen that you saw. It's also denoted with that little home icon. Enhance, it's still the same size. And so you're gonna see that home icon there. And we're gonna just assume that when the user taps one of these two experiences, we'll just have them fake go to the next screen. So I'm just gonna, so the way that prototyping works for those of you guys who are new to XD.
Yeah, someone is asking, can we animate elements? So you will see the Creatio that you can animate, you can create transitions between screens. And this is how you can give the illusion of animation. So
yeah, so we're gonna do that right now. So right now what we're gonna do.
Yes, MK, you can change the grid size, yes.
Yes,
Don't worry, you can.
You really can, I promise. And so the way that works in prototyping mode is that you can either select the whole artboard, and any interaction across that whole artboard will take you to the next interaction that you've denoted, or you can actually pick a specific element and have that be the touch target sort of. And so here, since we don't want the user just like randomly roll their face across the artboard and then have an interaction, we're gonna narrow it down to just this field, which is actually where they would touch. And then we're going to take this blue arrow right here and we're going to connect it to the next artboard. And what this does, it shows you basically the sort of interaction panel. Does this have an official name? Tooltip thingy?
Transition panel?
Transition panel. And so from here, you've got the target being the next artboard. You have the transition type, and these are the current transition types. Dissolve is one of the ones I use most frequently, but we're also going to show a faux push up to show a cool animation. So I'll use dissolve for now. And then the ease, you can actually control ease out, ease in out, or none, as well as the duration. And they actually give you some stock durations, or you can add whatever you want there. And so when a user clicks on that, they're going to be able to do this. You can actually now, which was really cool when we came on the show last time, we noticed this, you can actually copy an interaction too. And so if I wanted to do the same interaction and not just remake that whole experience, I can just copy this one with Command-C, right-click on here, and then you actually have an option to paste interaction. Oh. And so when you click on that, bam, same interaction. Takes you the same thing. Cool. So user clicks on this, and then from there, they're going to click on the login button. Actually, let's go ahead and make this disabled. So since the user hasn't entered anything in, we're going to actually make this field disabled, and one of the typical ways is to kind of give it an opacity. So we're going to put it at 20. But if you notice...
and you can do it in the prototype.
Yes, if you notice that I did it in prototype. So some of the options that you have in prototype mode that are also in design mode is changing text, changing opacity, moving elements. So these are all things, and adding elements. So you can do this all in prototype mode without having to go back to the design workspace, basically. And so I went ahead and you can see it. I'm pointing at the screen, but no one can see. You can actually see right here, it's actually 20% now. And so...
And someone was asking, like, can you do like hover interactions and fixed elements? So not yet. So in Adobe XD, when you want to express a different state, you have to use transitions between screens now, but you can like duplicate these screens and just add a few elements, and you can say if I tap like anywhere on the screen, then it will move to the next one with a dissolve. So this is how you can simulate like a pop-up coming. I mean, there are a lot of ways, but the team is actively working on adding micro animations or micro interactions. So you would have more tools to express the design you have in mind using XD.
Cool. All right, so Michael put in his name here. He's going to log in. This is going to take us to the next panel, and we're going to actually do a push-up, and I'll show you why. So kind of common thing you see is like elements kind of swiping up or moving left and right, and so this is going to do a similar effect. So let's preview that animation I just did. So you basically select what you want to preview. The default is home, but if you actually select this, let's say this one, it will, when you hit Command Enter, which shows you the preview, it'll actually show you whatever you're selecting. But we're going to start from the front. And so this is our first screen. And if you notice what I'm hovering over, either of these are clickable, and I click on this. And then we've pretended that Michael put his name in, and then I hit the login, and what it's going to do is push it up. So we kind of have a little bit of that complex interaction, that rich interaction experience, and when we have fancier things here, it'll look even more marvelous, but for now, it's going to just look like that.
This is great. And also, I remind you that we want you to create and share. So today, we want you to design badges. We received some great entries. Okay, I will just give you a sneak.
All right.
Sneak. Sneak, sneak, sneak.
Oh, those are so cool.
Sneak, 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 sneak.
Dang.
That's good, huh?
Those are awesome.
Yeah. So we will review all of them. Keep sharing at the end of the show, and we will ask you, okay, which one do you prefer?
Yep.
Which one do you want to reward? And you can get a chance to win a 1-year Creative Cloud subscription. Big prize. And there will be more giveaways. Stay tuned. In about 16 minutes, we will give away illustrations and posters made live on the Adobe Live show. Okay?
Cool.
We'll do that later.
All right, so I'm going to make the real deal now. So we're going to go ahead, and that was just check-in. That was just the side. We're going to click on Android. And the reason why we're going to click on Android is because I'm going to show you how it works on live preview with my actual phone, which is a Pixel. But we don't have to look at that yet.
So cool.
So
I think it's the first time we will preview it on Android.
I tested it. It works.
I know it works, but I mean, live on the show.
On this show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Usually we preview it on iOS, so
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, there's actually a XD tool on both iOS and Android, and you basically can either hard tether it to your computer that you're working off of, or if you're putting your files in the CC libraries, the folder, the Creative Cloud, what is it called? That folder called Creative Cloud Files. If you put it in here, it'll actually, if you have internet connection, sync. So, but we're going to live tether because really we want to be in live, just kind of creating and designing and making sure that it feels right. And so that's why I made the Android. So, okay, what are we doing? So we checked in, and our users are going to basically arrive on scene. They've already installed this app, and so from here we're gonna let's just emulate the same check-in experience for those people who maybe are first time, never used the app's experience. And so we're gonna have the same check-in flow here, and I'm actually gonna pull open that file that I call D2D. Where is it? D2D. Oh yeah. Oh, this is Alfred, by the way. Just side note, it's a great kind of search plugin that I love to use to navigate files. So anyway, D2D iPad is what I called this, and reminds me I should save this file to being called D2D mobile. Let's just call it phone, actually. Phone 1. And so I'm just going to take these paradigms here that I made for the iPad and this whole thing, actually, and I'm going to click on this and just kind of bring it in here. And since this has its own grid, all I'm going to do basically is just ungroup these objects because they came in grouped. And I'm going to just kind of reduce the size here.
Yeah, when you have your grid, so it will snap.
Mm-hmm. And then let's just make these here for now. And then this login button will also be, here. And this is not actually here. And I feel like these are too big, so I'm going to actually go ahead and change it to 60 for now. And then move these guys up. And bam, we have an ugly button. Why? So why is that? There we go. 20% too here. This is awesome. Okay. So this is the ugliest wireframe on the planet. That's okay. The point of wireframes is to convey intent and not so much to make them beautiful. So we've got the check-in experience here. I'm going to copy it over to here. This time this is going to be at 100% opacity. I just hit 0. And then from there, it's going to also include these two guys for consistency's sake. And we will have, actually these are too big I think for this. So we'll make them 20, make that a thing. Oops. The character style, apply this character style to that. And then from there, you'll have successfully checked in, which is gonna look like, we don't know yet, but basically, what did that say? It said, thanks for checking in. Oops. Thanks for checking in. Ta-da! And center aligned. Ta-da! And, oh, I can't delete that button. This one's gonna change to say, thanks, return to main screen. All right, now we have a consistent check-in experience, except for the fact that that wraps. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make that 16 for the sake of what we have. Thanks. All right, so we have the check-in experience. Now what we're gonna do is move into the first experience today, which is gonna be schedule, looking at your schedule. And tomorrow we're gonna work on the share aspect of this app, which will be around the interactions that you're having. You know, you're going between a session, you go and take a break, you're at some table and then you meet a person, or you're just, you know, a wallflower like me, and you just want to stare at your phone. And so we'll have a feed for both the wallflowers and the social butterflies that will allow people to kind of look at what's kind of trending and happening.
What's the vibe? That's
that
good.
Sharing sort of vibe. And then the next day we're gonna wing it, but probably do the resource page. And so user checks in, they've checked in. So let's make a new screen. So I like to, when I make flows, kind of set up the artboard in a similar, the whole kind of pasteboard in a similar manner. And so here's our check-in flow, right? Let's type in check-in flow.
Stay tuned, there will be a new giveaway in about 12 minutes. And if you are just joining, so we are Jessica, Moon, UX designer, working in XD, designing a checking experience for a conference. And all our guests this week are working on this fictional conference, which is for creative people. And the main value of this conference is create and share, or the concept of open design. So designers sharing best practices or feedback to other designers. And we started the day with James, who is a motion designer. We had Kristine, the graphic designer, who started designing the logo and finding the name of the conference. So we have a name now, Designer to Designer.
D2D.
Yeah, D2D. And Tracy Xing will join us in about 45 minutes, and she's an illustrator, and she will work on a big poster and illustration to express the concept of the conference.
Cool. So while Michael is talking, a couple things that I did. So so this is something I like to do with XD when showing flows. And so, okay, two-part explanation. We're going to time out for a second. So let's talk about UX for a second. So UX isn't just about making the wireframes, kind of thinking through and going from that wireframe to the prototyping side. It's also about just kind of really understanding that entire journey. And so you're having to find yourself in situations where you're explaining that journey or kind of mapping it out. And so a nifty way of doing that is, especially as you kind of create your wireframes, is to just use, okay, because of the fact that this is like amazing performance, you can actually do this. You can put a lot of artboards here and show it off pretty easily. And I kind of use that to my advantage when I use XD for work, in that, you know, I made this check-in flow text 80 so that way you can see it zoomed out. And then I have sort of this next flow to the label. And what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
And then just send this to somebody. And then I'll say, here's the flow. And then you can basically see it. You can also do it to the point where, especially when it's interactive, right? And you can show off the lines. Sometimes when I'm just like looking at all the interactions, I can just kind of go here and you can see that it's the flow. The other thing though is that let's just assume that I just hook these three up to each other. It's just a good organization tactic, but if you go to, so there are 3 ways to share this thing. 2 ways actually. So essentially, there's the published prototype, which you kind of saw a preview of, right? When I showed you this, and then you basically click through things and you get like these experiences, and then you can actually, I'll talk about how you can save them as MOV files later, but the second option, that's just preview, it's like local to you, but you can actually publish that prototype, right, by clicking on this thing on the right, and then from here you get this option to go from naming your prototype to allowing comments, and then showing hotspots. And so I can create a public link. And then from there, you get a couple options. One is that you can just go straight to the link, right? Open link. The next is that you're writing this email, sharing that you made this concept to a developer, let's say, and so you can copy that link straight to your clipboard and then paste it into your email you're writing. Or there's an embed code, which is really, really awesome if you're like on Behance and you want to show off a prototype. You just put the embed code in Behance. And so, or, you know, this is the first time prototype, but let's say I've been working on it for a while, you can also update it from this screen. So I'm going to go ahead and just open the link though, because I'm going to show you the two versions of how this plays out in the web. So this is the prototype that we're making on the phone. And it's basically showing you right here, this is the screen you get. This is if you share this link to somebody, they'll see the screen once they sign in with their Adobe account. And you basically have it on the home. This icon is actually interactive. It'll always take you to whatever you put as your home artboard. And essentially, they can interact with this. They can interact with it on their phone or on the web and basically go through and click through this prototype, right? And so I'm at the 4 of 4 screen. I can hit home and it takes me back to the first screen. But it also includes commenting. So you can actually enable comments. And I can make global comments where I'm just like, this is an awesome prototype. Just patting myself on the back, prototype. Hit enter, and then suddenly, since I'm logged in, it shows me, especially as the owner, that I can comment. But there's a second way you can comment on these, which is really helpful when you're collaborating and you need context on the artboard. So you can write like, this placeholder thingy is odd, ... And you can, before you hit enter, you can actually pin this to the artboard and actually pin the context to the comment to the context of the actual mock. And so if I were to put it right here, now what it does is it actually has it contextual to the artboard you're looking at on the left.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's very easy to connect like between the artboards and the comments, you know, with these numbers.
And that's really important because, you know, if you just have global comments, you're like, what are you referring to when you say gray thing? And so, you know, especially in the flow of iteration and UX, when you're really trying to rapidly kind of iterate upon and better the concepts that you're working on, you know, you may have a string of conversations with stakeholders or other designers or developers or product owners who are like, you know, maybe this ought to have work. And so they can actually reply inline. In this case, I'm going to talk to myself. Yeah, I think so. You know, or you know, if it's a sort of like round of revisions, then you can actually, once you're done, resolve it. And once it's resolved, and it'll go away. And you can actually see a history of resolved comments, which is really awesome when it comes to just kind of constantly editing and evolving these sort of things.
And check the revisions like the.
Yep, and you can actually move it back to unresolved if someone was like, "Psych."
Yeah.
This
I don't agree.
Design is never done.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. So that was the first one, and then my second tangent actually goes to the second web version, which is what I actually am really excited about the most, which is rather than publishing prototype, this is a beta, but I really love it. So you can actually go to here, publish design specs. And so what this does is it creates a public link. Dun, 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 dun. Cool.
Someone's asking if you can explain the naming conventions of your files.
Ah, I can. There's like a... So the naming convention is... I usually go through like 7 to 8 massive concepts when I'm going through a design. And so I like to use number convention for that because the version control is currently not there, but I'm sure will someday be there. And so the numbers help me remember what version I am because I'll be like, oh, it was like in version 2 that I had this like amazing concept before I pivoted. So that's a number. I usually camel case the middle part, which is the descriptor of what it is that I'm working on. And then the left side is usually the project or initiative or, you know, product or whatever it may be. So it's like the owner thing, the type of thing, and then the iteration number. Cool. So basically, I published a design spec.
Thanks, Osama. There's a good feedback from Osama saying this first time they're watching someone working in XD, decided to try XD.
Awesome.
Soon. Yeah.
And the tutorial is very helpful for that. Cool. So we were looking at the commenting kind of experience, but there's a second published that's my favorite, and it's actually this guy. So this is basically an inspector. The way this works is that you're looking at the sort of home screen of the entire prototype, and it will reveal whatever is a connected prototype link. So in prototype mode, just to explain, if I were to look at my connections, you can see they're all going to each of these things. Oh, I'm showing the iPad version. Cool. So in here, you can see the flow lines if you hover over them of where this prototype is going, which is really nice just kind of contextually. You can zoom in and out or whatever too from up here. But what's really awesome is when you click on one of these guys, you'll notice that it's a real inspector. And so it shows you by default the global elements on the page, such as the colors that were selected, right? We unified the colors on the wireframe, and so you'll see those three. If you were like, okay, I want this gray, I'm a developer, I'm gonna apply it to my global CSS. Okay. You click on it, and it actually copies that color's hex to clipboard. And you can go ahead into your IDE and then just magically, ta-da! Similar kind of concept though with character styles as well, where you can kind of see what that font stack is, and you can copy the font name. It's pretty awesome.
I like the fact that it shows,
Oh yeah.
This is on the screen. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So actually, that's a great point. So to that point, remember we had used Helvetica New, this sort of 16.1. It actually, when you hover over it, highlights which of the elements you can actually see. And so that's really awesome. And then that's global, right? And you can actually change hex to different types. You can actually click on these elements though, and then see the specs basically. So understand that this element is a rectangle that has this kind of width and height. It has these kind of attributes. It has, this is the kind of target, the prototype destination it's going to, as well as the interactions, which is going to be really helpful when you really want those interactions to actually come to life. Like seeing the ease, seeing the transition type, seeing the duration, that's all going to be very helpful in terms of implementation. And so it's really, really nice. What else? This is an element that has an opacity on it, and it has rounded corners, so you can actually even see the attributes around rectangles.
Yeah, because this is something you could do in CSS too.
Yep. So there you have it. Basically, a little bit of a design. What is this called? Design specs?
The design specs.
Yep. Design specs preview.
And so it's in beta, so you can still provide feedback. Give us feedback on the adobexd.uservoice.com, which is the website where we directly exchange with the Adobe XD team. And thanks for showing that. This is awesome. We also announced something. So if you are already in a workflow where you because there are some design spec platforms such as Zeppelin. If you are in a workflow where you already use Zeppelin, we just announced third-party integrations. So now with XD, you can export to Zeppelin, for instance. And we are integrated with 5 or 6 platforms.
Very cool.
This is something we announced last week, actually.
Awesome. All right, cool. So let's go back to our experience. So today we're going to work on schedule in about 4 minutes.
There's a good question by Claire.
Yep.
When you work with developers, do they need an Adobe account to see the styles and red lines and everything? No, actually. So when you publish the design specs or your prototype, you can share it with anyone, and anyone can directly engage with you. They don't have to be Creative Cloud members. Okay.
Cool. And the developers I work with on this, they are all like, well, this is really awesome.
Cool.
So,
this is awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
And be active in the chat. We'll do another giveaway. Francisco, we will give away actually the posters this time, if you can show them. And I see that Kai Webster is in the chat. This is awesome. Okay. It's everywhere. Look at that. It's beautiful, but... Okay, we don't have the shot. Okay. Come back, Francisco. Let us come back, please. Please. All right. Oh yeah. Here we are back.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had a break with Jessica. We went outside
for 10 seconds.
We had a coffee. We went back. So we give away 3 poster illustrations. They have been created by. Okay, maybe I have them actually. Let me see that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. If you go to my screen.
Oh, wow. Is that Mr. T?
Yeah, and actually Robzilla, he was in the chat. Kyle Webster also, I see him in the chat. Kyle Webster will be live with us. He's the author of Kyle Brushes, Kyle's Brush, and he will be back with us with Robzilla, actually. on in March. I think March 5, 6, around these dates. So you can win. The first one is Mr. T by Robzilla. It's made on an iPad. It was made live on Adobe Live.
Wow.
Then we have the swimming pool party made by
cool.
Jingwei. She's a house administrator in Brooklyn. And Kristine Herrin, she was an Adobe Creative resident, and she designed all these travel tags
So cool.
live.
Very cool.
Okay, so be active in the chat. If you're not signed in, make sure to sign in on behance.net/live. Say something where you are from. Just say hi. Just say something to get a chance to win these 3 posters. You don't have to choose. You will get all the 3 posters.
Cool. So,
And how big are they? It's A2, maybe? Maybe A2. Someone is asking A3, A4. I think it's A2. It's A3. Sorry. Just remember the settings on the printer. Say A3.
all right. So, a couple things that I'm doing. So, in my head, when I was thinking of the schedule, 2 things popped into my mind. One was I wanted to create sort of a dismissible tips sort of thing. So, in a lot of new onboarding experience sort of paradigms, you see more and more like helpful tips, especially on material. Like if you are a new Google user, you'll notice on the very top sort of recommendations and tips to help you really use that platform to its full potential. And so since this is a conference app, there's no real natural paradigm. And so what we're going to do is create some tips to help people use this better. And this would be a tip card. It'll get dismissed if you want to dismiss them. Because really, since you're the first person coming, since you're the first time user, and that's why I put down right here, first time logged in, you're not going to know maybe the big things you want to use. And so the first thing we want to do is make sure that you have checked in. The second thing is that we're going to want to make sure that you know how to share and then, understand your schedule. So something about helpful tips, maybe checking in, go here. And I started with the point text. I'm going to convert it to area, and there it goes. And wow, why is let's just default back to that. So that's going to be some sort of placeholder for a sort of tip thing.
And we have a winner for the 3 poster illustrations. If you want to read the name,
Prince Donker.
Yeah, Prince Donker. Yeah, I just saw him in the chat. You see at the top. Congratulations, Prince. Oh, and we have no more coffee breaks. Now we have the posters behind us. This is awesome.
Cool.
So,
that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. Congratulations, Prince. You will receive the 3 posters. We'll send you a message on Behance, okay? So stay tuned and keep sharing your badges. We'll give away a Creative Code subscription. Enter the daily change. Check the change tab. We will start reviewing these entries in about 15 minutes.
Cool. Well, then let me just finish up my concept for the schedules, and then we'll be done in 15 minutes. So,
yeah, I like this concept of cards. So it's an onboarding experience.
The
right?
top part will be. Yep. And then what I'm going to do is I'm a sucker for timelines and schedules that have the little like tickers. And so, I just actually did my favorite tool, Repeat Grid, for those of you guys who have seen me do this before. So I have a repeatable element that I might edit even more later down the line. And so first I'm going to round this sucker to something like that. And so if you see zoomed out, that's what it looks like. And what I kind of want to envision here is a sort of ticker that goes down. So I know the repeat grid's really more used for repeatable sort of components, such as a profile sort of card or something, but I like to use it for design sometimes. And so here I'm going to use a repeat grid, Command R for the shortcut. And when you do that, it turns the element into a repeatable sort of thing. Fancy. And if you notice these pinks, these are actually the margins.
Yeah.
Yep, the margin that actually lives outside. And so I think it's great. I just really love it. And so if I'm going to make basically a repeatable element that is kind of like this timeline, except that padding sucks. So this is kind of a little element, and the reason why I'm doing it is because, and you know what? I'm not satisfied with what this looks like. So this is the cool thing about the repeat grid. So it just repeats that one element, and so when I was zooming out, I thought, nah, it's too wide, and so I shortened it, and it applies it to everything. Now in the repeat grid, I like to do this because I'm just into repeat grids. You can actually, now that you can see the actual layers, you can go into the repeat grid, and you can actually add elements. And so if I wanted to make a second one of that and then make it even tinier and just kind of do something like
nice.
this and make a sort of thing like that, I can do that, and then suddenly, bam, it's still a repeatable element.
It's awesome to see how you can use the repeat grid, which is first like was designed for tables.
I know, right?
And then you can use it for design. Actually.
I love using it for
cool
for illustration and things like that. Yeah.
Even like someone was asking, oh, is there a dash, dash line feature?
Yeah.
In XD,
It's
yeah,
like,
you don't need
use
it.
the repeat
need
grid.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Use the repeat grid.
Yep. And so here's my timeline, little like
Awesome.
ticker. And then what I plan on doing is we said session, break, session, lunch. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a little thing right here. That's, let's see. Oops. Rip. Going into this color. And then it's going to have a border radius of, let's just say 30. We're going to make it a pill. And our first session is going to sit in this thing. It's going to be called, I don't know what it's going to be called. It's going to be called Designers Share Things.
It's very nice.
I'll have a better
It's very
placeholder
engaging.
another day.
Copywriting.
Designers Share Things is the first session.
I should go.
And what it'll be is sort of, this is kind of what it'll say, and that contrast is terrible. And so we're going to make that white. I'm going to align the elements, that way it feels all centered and magical. Actually, no, I'm going to left align. And then from here, the concept that I had going in my head was that you would see something like this, and then there would be, I'm not sure what kind of symbol just yet, but something that would trigger it being expandable in case the user didn't know they could tap on it. And so let's just use a placeholder here, and I'll find an icon a different day that's just like put icon there. And then let's actually go ahead and make this another element here, which is there's going to be a break session. So we're going to make the breaks not be in pills because they're not interactive. Because break, go mingle. And so that's kind of what I was thinking would be a timeline view. And then what we would have is actually on the right, I'm sorry, whoops. We would actually have right here, maybe like the time, yep.
Time on life.
And so let's actually go ahead and just make that an ellipse. So holding down shift always makes things perfect. And so if I hit the ellipse and I start with this sort of blue hint right here and I go here, I can actually do that. I was going to click on this color, I will, but just in case you didn't actually set up a color, easy way to just kind of get the same colors is to use the eyedropper, and it just global eyedropper. But in this case, I'm actually going to use this.
It will still be the global color, even if you use the eyedropper.
Seriously?
I think so.
I didn't know that.
Try to change.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to do this again. So if you're saying if I click on this.
I think so, because this is a color reference that you put in global.
Okay. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Whoa. I had no idea. I didn't know that actually translated that too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like basically take caring our designers.
So now it's good because if you make like if you have the reflex, you use the color picker, like you don't mind.
Yeah.
Or you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
And
no, totally. That's really
which is
awesome.
different from Illustrator. Like in Illustrator with the global color, you have to click on the swatch.
And then kind of intentionally
and make sure you
apply
click
it.
on
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Cool. So keep in mind this is a wireframe, but let's assume the first session starts at 8, and then the next session starts at 10 or something.
It's rough.
Yeah. So it's rough. We'll figure it out. It'll be more magical over time. I know it looks like crap right now.
No, starting at 8. Like,
oh, well that's you're right. I don't want to wake up at 8.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
Let's
me?
wake up.
Let's wake up at 11. Cool. All right, so we've got 9 a.m., 11 a.m., a break in between, and that'll be, let's make this a style. Let's actually adopt that. Oops, adopt that style. And this one's going to say, what's the between 9 and 11, like 10?
10:30.
10:30? No, whatever. And then I notice that these are all left aligned and awkward, so I'm going to center them and then just center them here and then just center them that way. It's all cleaned up. Cool.
Much better.
So that's the notion of the timeline. And how much time do we have? Like
you have about
4 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. But
15. Okay, cool.
we start reviewing the entries in 5.
Okay, cool. Great. Then what I'll do is I'll wrap up this animation to kind of Well, I'll wrap up this animation, but I'll also show. So there's going to be a global something. I'm not really sure what yet. It's going to be a little tab system where users can actually go to the various icons. So let's see. So there's going to be, I think, 3 or 4 sort of areas to play with in this app. And so the first one's going to be the schedule area. The next one's going to be this sort of trending thing that I talked about. And the third thing is going to be this area where you can connect with people and talk to them, kind of like a forum or a chat like Slack. And the last one's going to be your own profile, because you'll want to, you'll want to hook up your own sort of social profiles. That way when you connect with people, it's auto magic and you can LinkedIn friends in 2 seconds and stuff like that. And so this is sort of the global navigation that's going to go here. And so it'll stay sticky. And so for now, this is just a placeholder. Go away. And then from there, let me just go ahead and make this guy. And what I'm thinking for this experience is that we're gonna assume that the user did their tiles and they want to kind of keep scrolling. This whole thing is gonna actually pan up, and so essentially, the user will be able to do something like that. I'm gonna extend this guy a little bit, and then let's just, for the sake of time, pretend that this continues to like something like that. Because what I'm thinking is that it would be pretty sweet if, when you clicked on this general area. Okay, I'm gonna do a thing. So I came across a roadblock, which is I wanted this whole touch area, for the sake of this prototype, to be interactive, but obviously there are no elements. So one thing I do for prototypes is I just make a box on top, and then I fill it to 0 opacity. So you can do that 2 ways. You can either like move this alpha right here on the right, or you could put 0 right there. And then I rename this thing just because I'm an organization person, and I rename it to like hit area.
Yeah.
That way, when I go to the prototype, see, now you can't actually see that element, but I want that whole thing that's clickable. And so I can actually click on this and you see that hit area invisible. And so that's what I want to be the touch. So I am going to make this hit area move to this guy, and I want it to do a push. So push up. And then what that's gonna do is, I think 4 is probably good. Let's test it. This is what I'm envisioning. You click on this and it pushes up. Yep. Let's try actually slide up and see what happens. Okay, no, I don't like that. Well, do I like that? No, I don't like that.
Try the slide up.
Yeah, this one?
Oh, this is slide up. Okay.
This is slide up.
And push up.
Actually, I kind of like that. No, I like the dimension. Yep. Yeah. So that's actually one of the great things about prototyping, right? Is like you don't know until you see it, right? And so originally in my head, I was like, this whole thing's gonna pan up, which would look sick, which is push up, and that would be this interaction, right? But then I realized that I played around with the other transition, which is slide up, and I actually really like how it gives it a sort of depth when you pan up. I like that actually a lot better. And so with that, I made this interaction here. And what I want to do is also indicate that that this is the interaction I want to a developer. And so this is another thing that I like using a lot, which is this guy right here, this little timer. So the way this works is you click on this, and then it begins recording. And so now your mouse is turned into basically the finger indicator, and you can click on your prototype. And then it shows that interaction. And it keeps recording until you stop it. You can stop it either by hitting escape or by hitting this button. And what it does is it pops a screen that lets you download the MOV file. Currently, it only outputs an MOV, right? Yep. So, and what that does is you save it. And I use this to kind of communicate interactions a lot. But now if you look at my desktop, this is that MOV file that was, or MP4. And what it does is it shows you that interaction through that video. That's basically me clicking at the bottom. I take forever. Click. Cool. And you can send that to whoever you're communicating this prototype to. And I know it's black. It's actually because I increased the thing. But you can actually just record it to whatever you want. So let's see. So that's pretty much it. And I will keep working on this and make this schedule thing less janky. And then tomorrow work on the other tabs, which is trend and social connection, something or another. So
awesome.
Cool.
Okay, it's time to review some badges, because today we asked you to design and share with us the badge for this conference. So this is the first one. IOB delegators. Oh, and reusing one of the logo proposals from Kristine. Good job. Looks good. This one is John Doe, also playing with the
Oh,
Designer to designer,
very
playing
cool.
with the D and the 2 dots. Yeah, it's funny face. That's good.
oh, this one's cool. I really like this one. The
Very
colors are
good.
nice.
Yeah. It's by Simon, Create and Share Conference with the D. This one, Share Brain, Create and Share.
Brain.
Yeah,
Ooh.
nice composition.
Yeah.
Lisa Clark,
Hustle and grow.
Hustle and Grow Conference.
Very cool.
There's a
Oh,
nice
look at that pen tool.
reference
Yeah.
to the pen tool. Here, the ruler. Getting an idea.
Bodie McBoatface. That placeholder name. Okay. Peppy.
Happy Pig. The
Awesome.
Digital Art Conference, DA.
Very cool.
Yeah, very nice. Like this, the
Oh,
marble.
that pencil kind of sort of abstract. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
Good.
lovely colors. Yep.
Yeah. Very sunny and playful. Sign, visitor.
These
Visitor,
are all
London.
lovely. They're way better than
good,
what
huh?
you see in real life.
Yeah, much better than the one we see.
Yeah.
Looped in.
Oh my gosh,
That's
the
funny.
back of people's face. Oh my gosh, that's
Actually,
awesome.
good funny. What would be funny
Yeah.
would be to, like, you flip the badge and you have the other face. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Like, and when you check in, you take the 2 pictures.
Yep.
Like
Oh, very
so,
cool.
Yeah. Nice with the networking. You
Yep.
see, like the between
Yeah.
the people networking. Yeah. Nice concept. Creative Monster Conference.
That's cute.
With a
That's adorable.
happy monster. Also,
And it
if
has
you,
a
you
QR
play
code.
if you flip the badge.
Yeah.
That's from Max. Okay, thanks. we communicated to the Max team.
Submission.
And everyone can have a profile, I see.
Oh, the little
Like,
archetypes. That's cute. Oh.
Can peel stickers off their badge and create unique characters. Okay. Use
Wow.
stickers to create your stuff.
Very nice.
That's funny.
Bonjour.
Okay. Bonjour, Creativity Conference.
Yep.
Yeah, very clean. And here we have NAG. Okay.
Yep.
And that's the badge. The GG and some arrows for the
Cool.
energy.
Yep. Oof,
And the
serif
Series lovers.
I do love serifs.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
And we have one more. Lindy Capri.
Lean.
Speaker. Need to see. Yeah.
Good
Nice
copyright
color.
protection.
Like very bold.
Yeah. Very cool.
So yeah. Awesome jobs. Like as you were saying, they're way better than the badges that we see like at conferences.
They're all way better than
Seriously.
those. Yeah, and some good ideas for Kristine too as she refines the brand. Very cool.
So
Well-
if you want to reward one, like it could be because you like the idea, you like just
I mean,
one element.
I'm pretty partial to that yellow and black one, not gonna lie. I very much like the abstract kind of feeling of it, and the play on the D's is fun. And I think
This
that
one?
when we go to conferences, we don't really see the badges very well, and so I think that one would really stand out. you know?
Because of the yellow, like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
very bold. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, and this is Simon, I think. Yeah, Simon Restrepo. Congratulations. We will contact you, giving you a 1-year credit card subscription.
Yeah, congratulations.
But yeah, I mean, these were like great entries.
Yeah, definitely. They're all
Oh
really
my God.
awesome.
I love this. Like, I think it's a good concept. We should definitely do that.
I agree.
When you check in, you check the face and the back, and
Or it makes you look up at the person because you're trying to look at their badge. And you're like, who are you? And you're like, oh, hello. My name
or
is...
you can have a badge like hanging like on
Over
your
in the back. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still live. Yeah, we still have a lot of time actually, so that's awesome. We can keep working, Jessica. Yeah, let's keep working.
All right. So,
So you have like 6 minutes.
yeah. No, awesome. Okay, so let's keep working on this concept. So, we're going to want to... Oh, actually, perfect time to do actually this.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
whole reason why I actually did this, and I didn't even use it because I was...
And we forgot.
Yeah. Okay,
we
so how are we going to...
So we
Sure.
might need a composite shot. Yeah, GoPro and her screen at the same time.
Okay. So
So you are launching Adobe XD, which is a free
Yeah.
application also on iOS and on Android.
all
Okay,
right.
and you connect it with a USB cable.
Okay, cool.
Here we go.
Wait, can you guys see that okay? Am I
Yeah,
on-
that's good.
Okay, cool. So I open the XD app here, and you have 3 options. You basically can go between XD documents, which means, you can see this too. So on the desktop, right, in the Creative Cloud files, since you can see that green check mark shows that it's synced to the Creative Cloud. So you can actually go there and find those files, but you can also do what I like doing, which is live preview. And so when you click on live preview,
I need to give the focus
Yep.
here.
So in live preview, actually, so if you look at the desktop, it's going to be it's a lot of screens. Okay. So right now I have actually schedule clicked. And so if you look at the phone, this is actually the same thing.
Also horizontally.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding how to do it.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
All right. Great. Okay, cool. So this is actually pretty interactive. And so
There we go. Okay.
awesome. So right now, if you remember, I clicked through it on the desktop, but if I click on it here, it does the interactions here as well. And so in real time, let's go back up to maybe this check-in experience, right? I can actually test this thing and then determine if this is the experience that I really think is needed. As I'm looking at my phone, I'll be like, okay, the fonts they're legible, you know, the button placement feels right, it's ergonomic, that kind of thing. And then, but the other thing is that it's live, which means if I just put this down for a second, so we're looking at, for example, this screen, I can actually go ahead and, not that I would want to do this, but let's just say I added a box. You can actually, if you're looking at both the desktop and the phone, see that it's live editing. And so
someone's asking about which phone this is. This is a Google
Pixel 2.
Pixel 2.
Yeah.
Android.
So so let's say I'm going on this screen and I'm like, you know what? I think that this bold doesn't feel very right, and I'm looking at it on my phone to kind of get that feel for it. I can go ahead and make these edits in real time. Let's say I'm going to make it not bold, and then kind of look at it on my phone and say, yeah, that actually that does feel better, sort of. So maybe I'll actually do that with this one, and kind of get that not abstract sort of experience, but really down to what a user is going to really see in front of them if they're using this Android device, right? And so that's pretty cool. Just to kind of, we're in grayscale world, so it's kind of not fancy, but you know, all the way to color, like you can, as you're testing out colors, trying to see if it's very easy on the eyes, what's depicted on your screen, because we all have fancy, shiny Retina MacBooks, is not maybe necessarily what you're going to see, especially when you test on older devices. And so being able to even look at the color and the contrast, like that's horrendous contrast between that gray and the red, it's really helpful just kind of looking at it in real time. So that is live preview. And let's see, if you wanted to go away from live preview, just hold down, and then a couple more things, especially for testing's sake. So let's say you're actually putting this in front of real users. By default, the hints are there. What that means is if I, oh, I'm sorry. These are actually prototypes of whole screens, aren't they? Yep. Okay. So let me detach the whole screen experience for a second. So let's say it's this, and I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then do that. So I just made individual touch targets. When I go here, rather than looking at this thing, I can tap anywhere aside from, there we go, tap, and you'll see the hit zones, right, the blue, and that's the hints. But maybe you're testing this in front of a user and, you know, you're not going to have real hints in real life. You're just going to have an application, right? So you can actually go to your prototype and disable hotspot hints. And what that does is now when I tap on it, even though it's there, you won't see the hints. And now you get this even more one-to-one sort of real experience when you're testing this in front of users. And they're going to have to really kind of understand this interface and interact in a way. So that's kind of how it works here. And I really, really enjoy using this. So there is that. And we still got 4 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, we have 1 minute actually.
1 minute.
So yeah. But thanks for showing live preview. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Yeah. But so you will be back tomorrow. You will keep working on this.
Yep.
And stay tuned because we will welcome Tracy Shing. Look at
Very cool.
her awesome website.
Oh, yeah.
Very excited to have her. We wanted to have her like sooner, like last year, but we couldn't make it. And now we can make it. So this is great. And Tracy, will join us in about 5 minutes on Behance on Test Live. Thanks, cool. Jessica.
Thank
it was
you.
awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. And stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes. Bye, everyone.
See ya.